The what? I'm sorry. Inspector's card. Their phone number? I can give you their phone number. It's 303. Wait, you just need the inspection card that when they come and. Okay. Their phone number's. I don't have their right cards. 303-470. I'm sorry, 450-8745. The inspection line's the exact same, but the last four is 8748. Uh-huh. Hi. I'll be, okay, there it is. I mean, I'm. Uh-huh. Yeah. And then, so just promote them with Tim.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're sending out the links, but I'm not getting them. I had to follow your directions on signing on through Zoom, and if, it's just easier if I've got a direct link.
Yeah, I mean, I send it to police judge at townofgeorgetown.us. I don't know. I'll make sure to double, triple check it next time.
Okay, thanks so much.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Been a crazy day. You're in too, I bet.
Yeah.
Lynette?
Yeah.
Amy said she wasn't going to participate.
Okay.
Dr. Tim Ryan called me and he was willing to come on for a couple minutes. The new public health director.
Public health director.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So if he makes it, you might have to recognize him to be.
Sure.
Come on.
And may I ask who JB is? That's in there in the meeting as an attendee, please.
That may be Jim Blugerman. I just saw a message from Dee.
Well, there's two D Blugermans on here.
Okay.
And then there's JB. I'm just not
Okay.
sure who that is.
I
I
was
just thought I'd ask.
guessing.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
How about Corley Anderson?
Hi, JB is who now? I'm sorry.
Well, Cora Lou is here too.
I see Cora Lou, but
Okay.
you guys, and who's JB?
Jim Lugerman.
Okay. You might want to, okay, you've got some feedback going, maybe because you and Dee are, if you're sitting close together and you both have the meeting on, just mute one of you guys.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Let me.
You were right, Lynette. Sorry.
That's okay. Sometimes I guess right.
Dee, I see you have your hand raised. Do you have a question or something? Yeah. Can I ask who has the phone number of 720-402-4903?
Tim Allen.
Okay, Tim, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking this right now.
Right. Okay.
Good afternoon, Lynette.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I don't know why my video is not going on, but I'm really here.
Hi there, Keith.
Ah, there I am.
There you are.
Ta-da!
Everything's working very slowly.
At least it's working.
Yes. Hmm.
Hey, Lynette, once we get started, could we ask everybody that's in the audience to identify themselves so that we know? who
Oh,
we are?
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Keith
I was
Holmes.
Shut up, Keith.
planning to give directions.
Thank you.
I'm a friend of Keith.
Okay.
Hmm.
So Lynette,
Yes.
so Yanni wants to know how to get on Zoom.
So there's directions in the on the agenda, and
Okay,
that was for the public access.
okay. I'll text that to him.
Okay. And the agenda should be on the website.
Keith, they really just need to go to zoom.us. This is Jen, and the
Okay.
webinar ID, and then they put the webinar ID in, and I can give that to you.
Okay, let me get something right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen, for promoting me.
Yes. You're a star
I'm
player.
ready, Jen.
A rock
Hello.
star.
Okay,
Well,
Keith,
for
it's
the next hour.
820.
Yeah,
Okay, 820, excuse me, 820-3076-8812.
okay. And he just goes to the website? Or
Yeah,
just goes-
zoom.us,
Yeah,
and then he'll enter that. Yeah.
I'll text that to him.
Okay, thanks. And if I could ask, who has the phone number of 303-550-1784?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Gary Haynes.
Okay, Gary, thanks. Oh.
People still trying to get on, Jen?
We have some attendees coming, still, but I think Ken's just getting the flag ready. And I believe we have a quorum, so.
Yep, I'm seeing 4, so. Okay, why don't we start off, since Jerry is very limited here. Are you ready? Are you recording yet?
Yes, we are.
Okay, very good.
There's a message from Coralie.
I see.
Okay, I didn't know if you saw it.
I'm keeping track of the chat.
You're
Don't worry.
You're so good.
Yep, yep. We got this covered. So I would like to call to order the special meeting of the Town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, July 7th, 2020. It is 5:04 p.m. And would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm gonna call roll then. I am Police Judge Lynette Kelsey. Keith Holmes.
Here.
Rob Connell is not here as far as I can tell. John Jennings.
Here.
Paul Hingen.
Here.
Tim Allen.
Here.
And Mary Smith.
Here, I
Thank
just talked to Rob Connell, I'm sorry, but he's gonna be logging on shortly.
Okay, okay. We'll expect him momentarily then. Okay, so just laying a few ground rules before we start. I fully intend to have everybody who wants to make comments, make comments. If we could please keep them concise, and if somebody has already stated something, it's better actually if you just, if the next person who had the same comment says, I have the same comment as the previous, and adds anything new, just so that we don't eat up a ton of time. Please, if you'd like to speak, either do the hand raise or enter a chat request that you would like to speak, okay? And we will have a period of public comment at the beginning, and then we will close public comment when everybody's had a chance to make their comments, and then the board will discuss it, okay? Hope that meets with everybody's approval. I would like to start out with item number 1 on our agenda is consideration of options for closure of 6th Street, direction to staff concerning the same. So I see first one who asked to speak was Dee Blugerman. So if Jen could unmute her and please share your comments, please. Welcome, Rob.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So Dee is allowed to talk now.
Okay,
Dee,
yeah, I have a little problem with, first of all, the way the town looks. I mean, it looks like there's a barricade and there's something going on. And the fact that today I went downtown to go to the bank at, just before 9 o'clock this morning to use the ATM. And I couldn't even get into town. And we're supposed to have it open for 3 days a week for the people of Georgetown to use. And it wasn't open today. It was closed. So it's kind of to the point where the town's not available to the people who actually live here. And Jim and I went down there, we had some ice cream and we sat on one of the benches. We didn't sit at the picnic tables. And it was a Sunday afternoon and the first weekend that they did that. And I just wanted to check it out, and we counted 10 people in town on a Sunday afternoon in the summer. And yet cars are streaming down Rose Street on their way back home from Guanella Pass, and nobody's stopping in town. You know, I don't understand it. I mean, you want people to stop in the town, use the facilities that we have here, the businesses, and nobody has anywhere to park. Nobody understands exactly where they're supposed to go because everything's blocked off. I mean, we're no longer a town. I mean, we don't even close 4 days for Christmas market, and we have thousands of people. And now we're closed 4 days a week with nobody here. It's just a real inconvenience. And besides, I don't know who's sanitizing those picnic tables. I mean, I see people sitting at them, but I don't see anybody going out there and cleaning them after they've been sitting there. So, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, and if somebody comes into Georgetown, takes a left off of Brownell onto 6th, and they see the barricades, they turn around and they either go right or left. They either go up Guanella Pass or out of town. They're not coming into Georgetown. They're not spending their money. And why do we have it when there's only one restaurant open on 6th Street, and that's the Happy Cooker, and they have outdoor seating already? And I mean, like on the block where Lucha's used to be, Ophelia's is closed, Lucha's is closed. There's nothing in where the Raven Hill is. There's something next door, the coffee shop, the gallery, and the thing on the end. The community center and the library are closed. So what's open on that block for people to go to? And why are we blocking it off? Nothing's open.
Okay.
Shop International's about ready to close. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Let me just, before anybody else speaks, when Kent and I spoke this morning, and he had debated this morning would have been the reopening of the street, and because we were having this meeting tonight, which may have a different outcome than the previous order, which was to be closed just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And because he had some staffing issues, people needed in other places, I said I would be in support of going ahead and leaving the barriers up for today, and we'll figure this out. And if whatever changes are made to the existing order, we'll take care of that in the morning. And I apologize to anybody who was inconvenienced, but it seemed like it was an economy of effort. We don't have a large road and bridge crew, and they were needed in other places. So that's the reason for today not being open, just so that everybody knows. So looks like Cora Lou would like to speak. So Jen, if you could unmute Cora Lou, please.
I will do that. And Kent sent you a message that maybe we should get to Dr. Tim Ryan.
Oh,
after Cora Lou,
okay.
maybe.
I didn't know if he was here or not. Yes.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, let's hear from Cora Lou, and then let's hear from Dr. Ryan, and then move on to the other comments. Okay.
Okay, and Cora Lou should be ready to go and talk now. Cora Lou, can you talk? Okay, I'm trying here. Let's see. Cora Lou, you might have to unmute yourself.
Now they can hear. She lost
I think
you.
she's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, try and pick her up on Dee's iPad.
Are you there, Coralou?
No, I texted him. I texted him. Yeah.
You might want to go to Mr. Ryan while
Yeah,
Coralou's
that's
getting
what I was
set up.
thinking. Coralou, we're just gonna let you work out the technical issues and let's hear from Dr. Ryan at this time.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf and asked by Kent just to say a few things. So I'm the public health director for Clear Creek County. This is day 2 for me. So hit the ground running. I've been drinking out of the fire hose for the last 48 hours, but trying to make the best of it. So the logistics aside, and which street may or may not be closed, the public health benefits from this sort of thing, as we see here in Idaho Springs, have done a similar thing, has been very good. It really depends again on logistics and which street you're selecting and all the logistics around it. I'm really here as an expert on public health and the health benefits of pedestrian walkways, particularly around shopping areas where people aren't in their cars, they're out walking and are far more likely to go into restaurants and bars and the shops that are there and actually buy things. They're not just driving by them. So the health benefits too from the lack of cars driving around the town, people are actually out of them and walking around rather than driving their car around, particularly in a narrow valley like this.
You say you've been here 2 days?
Pardon?
And you've only been here 2 days?
Coralou, let's let him speak, please.
I've been in the.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I wasn't muted.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been in this job position for 2 days. I've been around Clear Creek County many times over the last 13 years. So, but my expertise, I'm a PhD in epidemiology and have 13 plus years in public health experience. So my perspective is from public health, not from logistics and inconvenience of whether you can get to this shop or that shop, but from a public health perspective.
Okay. Dr. Ryan, can I have you speak just a little bit about the circumstances the county as a whole is under? We've got a couple of variances in place that allow certain businesses to be operational, and some of the limitations that are set for those businesses to be able to operate have to be changed and reviewed if we have more than a certain number of new cases in the county in a certain time period. And it's my understanding that we might be kind of close on one of those variances to meeting that limitation of cases.
Sure. So as everyone is aware, I would hope anyway, COVID has been around for several months and it goes up and down. And so the variances that we currently have that have been granted to us by the state are dependent completely, as they are in the rest of the state, on the number of cases that we have in our county. We're doing everything in public health that we can to help mitigate and reduce that number as much as humanly possible. But it's, again, highly dependent on the behavior of the citizens of this county and the tens of thousands of people who travel through it every day. So we are doing everything that we can and proactively. As yesterday, we tested the employees at Bojo's because of concern there and because of a positive case there. So we're taking every action we can, and they have voluntarily closed until the test results come back and we can make a conclusive decision about what we're going to do moving forward with them. But every business, restaurant or shop alike, we're all in this together. And the face mask, which I was not here at that time, but the face mask ordinance that has been passed by the county was done so out of a prevention mode of The face mask is the best possible way that we currently have to prevent the spread of disease, other than staying home in your house, which lots of people don't want to do anymore. So the best public health thing that we can do is wear a face covering when out in public. It's inexpensive. It's not a huge ask in terms of the individual. And it's the best way that we can help prevent the spread of the disease. Social distancing obviously adds to that as well. So it's all about reducing your risk and mitigating your risk. And that's why the face covering ordinance went out. And then the variances, right? We're only allowed to do what we can do based on the numbers that we have. And so it's our job to keep that number low. And we're doing everything we can to make that happen so that businesses can stay open. We would love to be at full capacity for businesses, but our numbers have to allow that, not only for this county, obviously, but for the whole state. And so we're doing everything we can to help mitigate that.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Were you able to stay on for a while, or are you time limited?
I'm
this
not,
evening?
I have to run.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask any of our selectmen if they have any questions for Dr. Ryan?
I'm good.
Tim, are you getting ready to speak?
No, I'm fine. I
Okay.
didn't have any.
Okay, so seeing none, I will excuse Dr. Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us and
You're very
contributing your expertise here. And welcome to the county.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back and have Cora Lou respond and share her comments, please.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say, Dr. Ryan, thank you for being here, but I'd also like you to know that on 6th Street, we businesses that are on 6th Street, there is only one restaurant and it's at the far end and they have their own open space. The other restaurant is burned, the other restaurant closed. So we have no other restaurants on 6th Street, on which my business has been there since 1873. In my family since 1873. So I want you to know Idaho Springs has many restaurants on their closed street. We do not.
Okay.
I have a grocery store in which we slice cheese, in which we are very, very careful on how we do it. We have gloves, we have all kinds of things to create good, healthful habits to my sister and myself. We're the only ones on the business. And I would just like everybody to know that I'm wondering how many of you people that are sitting on the board have been downtown to visit each one of the businesses that you are supposedly supporting. We have not seen any of you to make you realize how careful we all are being and how we need business. Now, it's not inviting atmosphere at all for the people who are visiting. On 6th Street, where Rose Street comes in, the traffic just streams down on a Sunday afternoon. Nobody stops at the stop sign and they stream on out of town. Or as they come off from being up at the loop, they get down at the stop sign. Whoops, we can't turn here and go into town to see the shops. Well, out of town we go. So the traffic passes by us. We have a very empty atmosphere on 6th Street. And I'd like to see how many of the people on the board would come to visit 6th Street and be a part and see what the businesses are. I had some out-of-town customers in which our store, because we don't have the support from the town that we used to, and we don't have support from our town officials that really come into 6th Street to know what we're all doing. I would just like to say that I have customers who called me from Denver yesterday and said, we would like to come up and get some of your cheeses and various things. And they usually spend anywhere from $100 to $200 worth of items for our items, which are many of them are imported out of Europe. but we're wondering if we can come and park right in front of the store. My mother is on a walker and we cannot walk far. Well, I had to say, no, there's no way you can come. And the parking areas are gravel. Walking from any parking area is a block and a half or 2 blocks. And it's really been a very difficult time. But I really would like to see some of our people from our different boards come into our town, into the 6th Street area, and visit with all the business and merchant people. I would like to see that we would be able to take down the barriers. And if they want the barrier up there on Palace Street for the Happy Cooker and the Hotel de Paris, that's fine, because it does not interrupt with traffic coming off of Guanella Pass, nor does that particular part of town get in the way of people coming down from the train. Does anybody have anything they would like to say to me, please?
I think at this time, I think we'll just continue with public comment, Coraloo.
Okay,
And
I'd like to have one more thing then. I'd like to see my
certainly,
deliveries.
pardon?
We're having a terrible time getting deliveries into our store. We have to remove the barrier. I had to remove the barrier just before I came from my brother-in-law to bring in a load that he had gotten over in probably about 40 cases of honey that they picked up over on the Western Slope yesterday. We have to do that. What do I do when I have a big semi coming in that has everything on a pallet? You're making it very, very difficult for people in town, for the businesses, and we're the ones that support you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Coraloo. Thanks very much. Next on the agenda, next for comment, I thought I saw Jim Blugerman. So
Okay.
if we could unmute him.
I will promote him. One
Thank
second,
you.
please. Okay, Jim, you
All
should be
right.
able to
Can
talk
you
now.
hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Hello? Hear me?
I can't hear.
Okay. All right, I think I'm on. So, my comment is, when you start comparing Georgetown to Idaho Springs, you're basically comparing apples to oranges. Idaho Springs has 9 restaurants in their pedestrian area, and none of them have any outdoor space, and they need that tremendously. Our pedestrian area is shops, and shops are limited by the number of people that can go inside. And I don't think there's any problem with the street being open. It's not like Christmas market where we have thousands of people and they're lining up somewhere. I was downtown today and I saw 3 groups of 3 people each using the picnic tables. And there were still plenty of benches open if they wanted to sit on those and eat ice cream. So I see no need for the picnic tables to be out there in closing down 6th Street. I also don't feel that, again, that there's problem with social distancing. And I also know that most of these stores on 6th Street have 1 employee. So if they're supposed to be putting wares out front on the sidewalk, I would like to know who's supposed to be taking care of that and who's supposed to be inside watching the store itself. You know, they're going to have to hire extra people. It's an extra cost, and it's not going to come back to them in terms of sales dollars. All of the merchants who I have talked to said they would much rather have the parking in front and the people able to get out of their cars and walk just as they've always done. And most of the people who actually do stop are people who are either going up or down Guanella Pass. They see something that catches their eye, they want to park. At this moment in time, they don't know where to park or where they can park because we've lost 12 parking spaces. As far as what Dee said earlier about the 2 restaurants, I agree. I won't go into that, but I think that we've got a big mistake here. We don't have restaurants. We have individual businesses, which also have limits on the amount of people who can be inside. So I don't see any point in closing down the street and giving up the mobility for our residents and the 12 parking spaces that people need for deliveries and for people to park close to the shops. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Paul Boat, I believe, was the next, wait. Lori and Mike Booth, are you there?
Okay, I'll promote them, Lynette.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Lori and Mike, you should be able to talk now.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just feel like we're 30, 40, 60 days behind everywhere else. We own the Happy Cooker and we've been working on this for over 60 days. We've rewritten all of our policies. We worked with the Department of Health. We had them voluntarily come in and do health inspections. We're right on. We got Bronze Star for all that. We've done everything we possibly can to remain open and keep things very safe, and make sure that our customers and the town of Georgetown is safe. And we just feel like you guys have been behind. You haven't been taking on any effort. And we've been working on this for so long, and I have a degree in biochemistry and microbiology. We knew exactly what to do, and nobody even reached out to us. I mean, where were you guys? We're just kind of frustrated. We've lost a lot of money. We've spent a lot of our savings, 100,000 out of personal savings, to keep people employed in the town of Georgetown. And we're behind the 8 ball now. I mean, we're never going to make up this money, and the bills continue. I remember getting a notice: when are you guys going to pay your taxes on time? Way you owe $850 in your water bill, and we're like, hey, hold on, just back up a little. We're writing personal checks for all this, and we have zero business, and nobody even came by the business to say, hey, has anybody even come by and said, are you guys doing okay, or is there anything we can do? Yeah, Jennifer came by. Thank you, Jennifer. But nobody really cared about us. So we feel like we're about 30, 60 days behind. We went to other towns. We went to Idaho Springs. We went to Arvada. We went to Golden 30, 60 days ago and talked to them and found out what they were doing. We contacted our commissioners in Clear Creek County. They responded via email, told us here's some direction. Here's what we're looking at doing. And we were on board with that. So we followed every piece of direction they gave us. And I just feel like the town of Georgetown really stubbed their toe on this one. And it's gonna take $1 million to get you back on track. Sorry to say that, but I'm not gonna pump that money in anymore. We're just gonna sit back and take our licks and do what we can for the community. Sorry, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and I've lost a lot of money.
Okay. I guess just to be very clear, are you saying that you are in favor of the closure of 6th Street, or you are opposed to it, or a mix?
Yeah, I'm opposed. Yeah, we track our money daily. We've lost money since we closed 6th Street.
Okay.
And nothing has been done to generate marketing for the town of Georgetown. I look at Idaho Springs and Arvada and Golden and these other towns, and they're generating marketing. They're out there actively marketing. Their people, their elected officials in those towns said, we're going to put money into marketing and making sure we draw people into our community as a safe community, as a as a community that wants your business, and we do it in the right way. And that's what we promoted. Even the Department of Health, I wish I should have talked to Keith or Tim earlier. Anyhow, you know, they even said, hey, you guys have a great operation. You're doing the right thing. You're ahead of the game. We even hired an additional employee who's a guest safety specialist. So we added to our payroll an additional employee to make sure that our guests are safe and the residents of Georgetown are safe and our employees are safe. And so we're investing even more money. That means I can't do the marketing. I don't have the money to market the town of Georgetown. You guys need to market Georgetown and open 6th Street, and let's figure this out. Putting a couple picnic tables out and barricades does not create a marketing plan. I've worked for Fortune 100 companies for 30 plus years, Coors Brewing Company, and my wife was an executive in sales. I know what marketing looks like, and this is not marketing. And Idaho Springs is doing a great job. Golden is doing a great job. Arvada is stellar. We're just 60 days behind the ball. Sorry.
Okay.
Open 6th Street.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Next, I'd like to call on Paul Boat to speak.
Okay, let me just switch things around. I'll be right there. Paul, you should be able to talk now.
All right.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Boat. I'm a resident of Georgetown at 901 Rose Street, and also I am a member of the Georgetown Promotions Commission. Thank you for taking my time to let me speak. Before I begin, I would like to address a couple things. Mr. Booth is more than welcome to attend Promotions Commission's meetings. We would love to have his input since we are a volunteer board and we have been promoting Georgetown with the limited budget that we have. We all know as individual businesses that we do have to have money for our own marketing available to us. That is just part of business. And as a Fortune 100 company employee, he would know that that is a part of every business's budget, including the things that he's done. I absolutely agree that our town is 60 days behind on what we could be doing. One of the first things I asked of our police judge and of the town was what our plan was directly as a town for addressing COVID the minute it came out. I wanted to make sure that our town had a plan that was an advertising plan that was similar to the county. The answer was that we follow behind with what the county is doing. I am one of the people who promoted the mask ordinance in the town heavily. I am also one of the people on the board who is trying to make sure that we are safe in our community so that we can stay open. It is pro-business to do things that are conservative to make sure that everybody is safe. If I have one person out in my business, we are closed. Bojo is going through the same thing, and they were able to test 60 people in one day. I would also like to address, I'm trying to move quickly and I'm reading a list. I want to make this very clear. This isn't about restaurants. It's about social distancing, including on our sidewalks, which are not wide enough to allow people to pass by each other with 6 feet difference. That is an issue. And that's part of what this is about. It's about social distancing and keeping people safe for retail businesses, for restaurants, and everything else. Michael Moore, who is a 6th Street restaurant or business owner, is in favor of this. He gave us permission to speak for him. Indeed, he would like to see more food trucks on the street, and he would also like to see music on the at Library Park. That is part of a further marketing plan that we can talk about at another time. I would also like to address that all businesses on 6th Street have rear entrances. They can have any kind of delivery from a rear entrance. And I have never in my entire time living here seen a semi truck in front of Nicel and Anderson, but they may have them come. I don't know, but they do have a rear entrance. There is parking behind their building. Additionally, there is parking on Rose Street and there is parking on Tau Street. There is parking on 7th Street. There is parking at the Hotel de Paris Museum. There is parking everywhere in our town, 1 block away. But if somebody needs to get in, and perhaps we should designate a couple places as disabled, right on Rose Street and 6th Street. We can do that very easily, and it would help people who need to get a third of a block to Nicel and Anderson or to any other store that they would need to get to. That would be helpful to them. I would also like to point out that 2 members of our commission who have asked for this are on 6th Street. Gary Hines being one of them and Kevin Kuhart being another one of them. The other one, another person who is on our commission, has a business 1 block and a store away from 6th Street. He is on 6th Street all the time. I am on 6th Street. I spend my money on 6th Street. I was there. So I take umbrage to the thought that we do not visit 6th Street and don't understand what's going on there. However, let me continue. I'm still addressing these things. Wares on the sidewalk was just a suggestion for a positive way to make money if you want to do it. It was not the purpose of this. The purpose of this was to prevent disease spread. It is what we are trying to do. I'm sorry, did somebody laugh? Okay. It is what we are trying to do with this. This is about public health. Shop owners, by the way, are frequently parked in front of their stores on 6th Street. The parking, as a matter of fact, the store Cora Lou was talking, her personal car is frequently in front of her business. We all know this. Cars from other businesses are also on 6th Street. 6th Street only has 12 spaces. That is not what we're looking at. We do need, if it's permanent, better barricades that are not the barricades that we're using. Those are police barricades. They do say no. They aren't attractive. And we need signage to say Ped Mall and parking this way and that way. That helps people. I worked in new urbanism, by the way, and there's study after study after study after study that shows, besides health benefits, which walkable cities are about, show that especially in small town main streets, Ped malls are beneficial to business. Now, we're all down in our economics, and I have no restrictions to the amount of people that are allowed to come in here. And I can understand how a restaurant might have some initial shock value to what they're doing. But this weekend wasn't a particularly busy weekend because it rained all day on the 4th of July. It was a dead 4th of July. But the rest of those are the things I wanted to address from that. I just want to say that the reason that my fellow commissioners and I were pushing for this was to prevent the spread of disease. It was to help us. It was to keep our county from being shut down completely and to keep our friends from becoming ill because we're crossing the street so closely with each other. I understand that change is difficult. I really do. But if we want to go to the actual, and I'm going to say this as a little tongue in cheek, but if we want to go to actual historic value in this town, we need to remove all cars and only allow horse traffic on 6th Street, because that is what it was. Cars parked on the street is a 20th century thing. It's great. But honestly, if it's a Ped mall, people usually feel safer and they feel that they can do more. But I'm going to stop talking now. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that it is not, this isn't a whim that the commission asked for, and that I asked for personally, that we're doing so that we can make a cool thing. We would do that later and talk to everybody and go for a long thing if this were what it was about. This is not about that. This is about keeping our workers, our town, and our businesses healthy. This is a pro-business move, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paul. Looks like next up is Ruth Rosenfeld, I believe.
Okay, let me just get her ready. Ruth, are you still there? Oh, shoot, I guess you can't talk. I don't know if Ruth is Pixel 2XL. We'll go on that person and see if that's her.
Okay.
Is Pixel Ruth Rosenfeld? Hello? Because I did see Ruth, but I don't see her now.
Okay.
I see Pixel 2 XL. That's the only person I don't know who that
Okay.
is. So maybe let's come back to her.
Okay,
Sorry.
that sounds great. Craig Abrahamson also wished to speak, and I believe he was next.
Okay, let me get him.
Okay.
Okay, Craig, you should be able to talk now.
Good evening. How are you guys?
Good, thank you. How about you?
Good. First of all, thank you all for volunteering your time to serve as our elected officials locally, and thanks to our town promotions folks and all of our commission members who volunteer all of their time to the number of services they provide for the town. My wife and I, Dana, live here at 815 Main Street. We own a building and currently 2, soon to be 3 retail businesses on 6th Street. And we are in favor of the pedestrian mall concept. We have been from the outset. I agree with Mr. Boat that this is more about physical distancing and public health than it is about improving retail sales. However, having said that, each business owner has the opportunity to utilize this as an opportunity to improve retail sales. And yes, it does require additional effort on the part of retail businesses, but those who choose to take advantage of it, in our opinion, stand to likely benefit from that. Yes, it takes some effort, but this whole event requires all of our effort and our collective effort to see our way through this. Regarding parking spaces, I appreciated that somebody had recently counted the number of parking spaces because I was racking my brain as to how many we have, and 12 is the number. My wife and I, we own the building there at the west end of 6th Street before at the intersection with Argentine. We volunteered to organize our parking lot behind our building and offer that for the town's use. We've also got a lot behind Town Hall there that we've volunteered to make available for additional public parking. Neither of those are effective though if we don't sign the closure correctly and direct people to our parking. We actually have, and I know we've talked about parking a lot downtown. We don't take advantage ever of all the available parking we have, especially on the weekends. Argentine Street in particular, the on-street parking there is, there's a large amount of it. And since nobody's here representing the county, I can say this, they also have a really nice parking lot. That's a block and a half from downtown. That's underutilized, and we don't really take the time to direct folks there. So I think we can overcome the parking problem. I understand the inconvenience issue, I really do. But I think that's a small price to pay. I don't like wearing a mask either, but I'm going to do that because I want my neighbors to be safe and I want our businesses to stay open. So to the extent that we're all willing to make an effort to make this pedestrian mall be something special, I think we'd be successful. But I think we do need to put some additional effort into what we make it look like, that we make it look inviting and we don't make it look like a crime scene. And with that, I was just say again, I appreciate you guys.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Is Ruth, have we located Ruth yet?
Well, I see a couple of phone numbers that I don't know who they are, so I can ask them.
Okay. All right.
Who, to the audience, whose phone number is 303-550-1784?
That's me. I'm Gary Haynes.
Oh, sorry, Gary, okay. Thank you.
I was kind of muted for
And-
a while.
Okay.
Okay, we'll come right back to you, Gary. Whose phone number is 303-870-0033?
Ian Powell.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Thank you. Ruth Rosenfeld. There's 24 attendees right now, so I have to,
Okay.
trying to find her.
Maybe
I-
if she could send another chat message to you with however her device is identified or however she's signed on, that's going to be helpful.
That would be.
Let's go
Lynette,
ahead. Pardon?
Lynette,
Yes.
this is
Ken?
Kent.
Yes.
Jerry said he's gonna have to leave here
Okay.
shortly for his meeting.
Jerry-
But he would like
Jerry-
to say something regarding the other item. Real quick before he leaves.
Jerry wants to say something or you do?
Jerry does.
Jerry does. Okay, yes. Before he has to leave us, let's hear from Jerry, please.
Thanks, Lynette. You guys can hear me, I assume?
Yes.
Great. And I apologize that I'm kind of double booked and have to leave for a 6 o'clock. But, and I clearly your discussion on the 6th Street's gonna go longer, as it should. I just wanted to make sure the board heard from me on item number 2, the mask order,
Yes.
and sort of whatever direction you want to give to the town administrator. And I wanted to make just a couple points. And the first point is that, as the board is probably aware, the county issued its own order countywide, County Department of Public Health, on July the 2nd, which is a very detailed order. It's well written. And I think you've probably seen it, and I support it. With that in mind, doubtless the board will be thinking and may get some public comment around what should we do with the administrative mask order that the town administrator issued at the board's direction. And oddly enough, I think you've got 3 choices about that. The first would be simply to continue that order in effect. I will say that there's a little bit of there's not much difference between the scope of the county order and the town's order. The town's order reaches children down to the age of 2, exempts children age of 2 and younger, and persons with a description of health conditions that I derived from the state public health order and the CDC. And I recognize there's been some dispute with me about whether that's the right line to draw, et cetera. I continue to advise you that that's a line you can draw. It's been drawn by other public health agencies, and it's legitimate. But the county order takes a different view, I think, at children down to the age of 4 or 5. So you need to be aware, and their description of an exemption for health issues is slightly different than the town's order, which is more simple. So in terms of the town's options, you could continue your order, understanding that it has some slight differences from the county order that might be confusing to people. And the county order does apply within the town because the Department of Public Health in the county can enforce within the town. So door 1 would be continue your order, understanding there's some differences. Door 2 would be direct Kent to issue a modified town order that matches the county order where there are presently differences. And that's mostly around the age of children. And I don't have a personal opinion, but the county order is as supportable as the town's is. Door number 3 would be just repeal the town order and communicate through various means that the town supports the order issued by the County Department of Public Health. And any of those is a perfectly fine approach. I think I would do either number 2 or number 3 so that at least you don't have a little bit of conflict between the town order and the county order around children, because I can anticipate people complaining that the messaging is inconsistent. Other than that, that's really all I wanted to make sure you heard from me. I expect the discussion will continue, but I want to make sure you had those 3 doors. And I would urge door number 2, modify to match the county order, or door number 3, repeal your order, support the county order, and do messaging from the town in that way. So that's what I got.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Does anybody
Thank
from from the Board of Selectmen have questions for Jerry before he leaves?
This is Tim. I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Jerry.
bet.
And appreciate you joining us this evening. Okay, in that case, I will go on to, if we haven't located Ruth Rosenfeld yet, it looks like Steve Skalsky is next on the request to speak list.
Okay. All right, Steve, you can go ahead and talk.
Yeah, hang on.
There's some feedback from somewhere.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'll be very brief in my comments. So, I'm a business owner with Guanella Pass Brewery in Georgetown, right off of Rose Street, a block off 6th Street. I own 2 buildings currently on Rose Street, in addition to the business that I have in one of the buildings. And I also serve as chairman of the Business Promotions Commission, along with Paul and other commission members. I do believe this is a health issue. It's not a business issue. I've said this before, and that's why I want to be brief, because this is perhaps the 4th time I'm stating my position. I've been on several conference calls directly with the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, as a participant in the Colorado Brewers Guild. This is a recommended action by the governor to extend social distancing. My business, as well as other businesses, are required to operate under 50% capacity to help prevent COVID inside our building. That's a 7-day-a-week rule that we have to follow. And I did make contact today, and I don't know if Lynette, the police judge, has heard from Mark Grable from the Loop Railroad, but he is very much also in support of social distancing. He's moved to all open cars to be able to open his train operation. And we all, as business owners, know how important the train is to all of our businesses. And he really would like to see the town get behind social distancing measures so he can promote that within his customers and say, go have a safe visit to Georgetown as well. So I appreciate your time, and that thank you very much for letting me speak.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve. So where are we here? So there's a comment from Deanne Powell. She's having trouble with Zoom. Her comment is the street barriers need to be gone. They make Georgetown look like that means ghost towns. It can't be good for what businesses we have left. Lucha's truck should be allowed to park downtown until the building is able to be open. We need restaurants downtown, or we really will turn into a ghost town. So, is there anyone who has not had a chance to speak who wanted to?
Yeah, Lynette, I
Yes.
see Alice, and I think she's with Stonehenge. Is it okay to let her talk?
Certainly.
She's got her hand raised.
Certainly, you bet.
Okay.
You bet.
Hello, Madam Mayor.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, as Lynette knows my feelings on this already because she's one of my best friends, get those stupid things down. It's like, and unless someone has a business on 6th Street or in that surrounding area, they should not have a say. This is the tenants and the people who actually own businesses on 6th Street should be the one making this decision, not the townspeople. Most of those town people haven't even been in to see us. I also agree with the other lady that Lucia should stay on 6th Street. We need to keep those guys in business any way we can. And that barricade down by the post office, it looks like the town is totally closed off. It looks like there's a big red X across that. And Lynette, you know I love you, but I don't care how tasteful it is. Even if it was 24 karat gold, I don't want it. And this is, you're not gonna have a town anymore because you guys are putting this out of business. I've had 34 4th of Julys in this town. I love Georgetown. I love the people in it. And what you're doing is putting us out of business. I mean, my business was down over 50%, and I've had 34 4th of Julys to compare it to. People are lazy, let's face it. They like to drive down 6th Street to see what the shops are, and that entices them to park their car and come in, not a barricade. I am totally, totally against the barricades. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I love you.
Thank you, Alice. So anyone else out there?
Yeah, Anne Marie Cannon would like to speak, Lynette.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, Anne Marie, you're on.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes, I can. Thanks.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I just really want to reiterate what I've already said in the past. And, you know, I live on Tau Street, and I can look out my window and I see what's going on 6th Street. I also walk down 6th Street frequently. And as a community member, I mean, I don't know when they were looking outside their doors this weekend, but I saw a lot of people on the street. I also think that Nick's truck is a great draw for people. And I think it's been said, and I want to reiterate that this is not a business decision. This is a safety decision. This is about life and limb. This is about social distancing. And when I walked down the street before we had the barricades, I did not feel safe because I would have to pass by people or walk in the middle of the street. And so other towns have made it work. And I think that this could be seen as an opportunity and people could make it work for them. I agree with maybe the unsightliness of the barricade is not the greatest thing. And I think that's something that we can work on. But I hope that the Board of Selectmen go with the whole concept of safety. And also, you know, this idea of if we have any more cases or a certain amount of cases, we lose our variances and the business is closed. So this is keeping us safe. And I really hope that you guys stay the course with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Okay, have we heard from everyone else? There's a comment here from Hotel de Paris. The Hotel de Paris Museum is in favor of putting health and public safety first. Masks, yes. Social distancing, yes. Ruth Rosenfeld is back and would still like to comment. Can you find her?
Okay. I will try. And we also have Yanni who wants to talk.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Let me try to get Ruth.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's Ruth. I've got Ruth.
Okay.
Ruth, you can go ahead. Hopefully. Okay, wait.
I would like
Are you there,
to
Ruth?
speak. I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to speak in favor of closing 6th Street. I would like to point out that most towns in the metro area and in the mountains are closing their downtown streets. And when you walk down 6th Street, and I have been to 6th Street a lot, you cannot social distance walking down the sidewalk. There's no room. Families are eating ice cream. People are talking about where to go and looking into windows. You have to walk in the street. We need that space to keep the social distancing. I'm certainly in favor of doing what works for the businesses, but please realize that the businesses have less business because of the virus. People are not coming out as much. People are not stopping in towns as much, possibly. People are being more careful. Don't confuse the closing of 6th Street with the lack of traffic in businesses. There's a lot of things happening at this point. I would like to say also that we do close the street when there are big events happening, and people are fine with that. It's not so busy during the week. It's not such an inconvenience. I think people are getting used to that because the places they go to have their downtown streets closed more often now for safety, for social distancing. I don't like walking down the sidewalk on 6th Street anymore when there are people around. And it's hard to get in the street, to get around them, because people are trying to jockey their cars down the street. So you have to look at this in different ways. And I think that it's more friendly to tourists and to those of us who use 6th Street to be able to walk comfortably without having to worry about passing people that are a foot away from you, whether or not you're wearing masks. There's got to be a balance there, and I think the balance has to be so that people can walk in comfort away from other people. And yeah, they have to park somewhere else, but where do they park on July 4th? Where do they park during other big events? They have to do the same thing in other towns. So I would encourage you to keep 6th Street a pedestrian mall for the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. And now Yanni.
Okay, I will get Yanni, and here he is. You're on, Yanni.
Okay, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for all being here. This has obviously been a emotionally contentious. There's strong feelings, and I'm glad I'm one of the last to speak because I've been able to hear point counterpoint. And I'll just be brief with my opinion and what I feel about. Essentially, I want to comment on the 6th Street closure, but I'll preface with all the safety concerns that I've heard tonight from our new health doctor and everyone else. And those are all good, valid points. And I actually personally feel better having the option to weave and dodge someone coming head on for me when I'm walking down the street. So I think on the safety side, it's a good thing. I can understand frustration from Cora Lou and some others as far as inconvenience. I feel that there needs to be maybe a happy medium here for everyone to feel good about what's going on. And my opinion is that coronavirus aside, just on the business side, I feel that since I've lived here full time, which has only been 4 years, not generations or decades, but just 4 years, that's my perspective. And in those 4 years, I've seen several shops come and go. And it seems that the retail strip of 6th Street is withering. And I think trying to change it up is a good thing. I heard or read once that, you know, if you do the same old thing, you get the same old results. And the results that I'm seeing right now are sliding in the negative direction as far as shops. The first time I came to Georgetown was in '09. I was visiting friends in Denver and they said, hey, let's go to the mountains. There's this town pretty close that we can go for the day. And I go, really, where's that? And he's like, it's Georgetown. Okay, let's go. So we went up and parked, I think, in maybe Craig's lot behind the old coffee shop there, or the current one. And we did a once up and a once back. And for me, nothing against a t-shirt shop, but I've seen plenty in my day, and there's only a couple of restaurants really. So it wasn't all that interesting. I mean, our town has a beautiful setting. We've got historic buildings. We've got magnificent mountains on either side. So I feel that one reason people go to places like Switzerland, Austria, St. Augustine, if you've ever been there, is because they have a pedestrian mall that's managed well, and it brings people to those places to really enjoy them. Yes, I agree, the barricades look a little rough. I think aesthetically they could be improved. But again, this is just our first time out doing this. The picnic tables are probably really difficult for the town's crew to move. I would not want to have to lift one of those myself. So maybe thinking about getting round tables with awnings for sun protection put in the middle of the street would be more cozy. I know that costs money, but maybe for future thinking. I think Craig mentioned something about diverting people to parking areas. And Corlew mentioned that people aren't going to these parking lots. Well, again, I think Craig made a good point saying how parking, identifying where these parking areas are would be a really nice way to do it, something called signage. So directing people with signs would be an inexpensive way to get them to these parking areas. Corlew mentioned the problem of deliveries with an 18-wheeler or others. So perhaps having the pedestrian mall open maybe just on the weekends, or, and having deliveries made during the weekdays. Someone else said that there was only 10 people there this weekend. Well, there is, a combination of factors, rain, coronavirus, but also people don't know that we have a pedestrian mall. So it takes a little time to get the word out in Denver or in Summit or wherever. So once people figure out that, hey, Georgetown's got a cool walking mall, they'll come, but they don't know. This was just our first weekend doing it, I believe. So I think that it's a good idea. It's going to give our town a nice feeling, but we have to consider logistics, parking, deliveries, making the barriers more aesthetically pleasing. Had there been that walking mall with, maybe some more food trucks, and that's not to take away from the Happy Cookers business at all. I think if you get a density of eating places, people are going to want to come. If there's just one or two eating places, well, how many easy over eggs or burgers can I really be happy with? If we had a great burrito and maybe a sushi place, or a food truck that sold Middle Eastern tapas or Spanish tapas, that'd be pretty cool. I'd want to stop into Georgetown and eat that stuff, take my chances on each of those places. So I think creating a density of eating opportunities would be a good thing. I think someone mentioned music. I think that would be nice to have music. Of course, that's always up for debate. Is it Michael Jackson or bluegrass? I don't know. But just to make it a pleasant destination to hang out, I think when I came in '09, had there been a place just to hang out, I think we did get an ice cream, now that I remember. And at the time, the only bench to sit down outside was in front of the ice cream shop. So that's what we did. Got an ice cream, hung out, sat down, and then went back to the car and drove back to Denver. So yeah, I'm in favor of it, but I think we need to be considerate of the logistics. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Yanni. We've gotten a couple more comments in the chat feature. This comment from April and Jules Tomasi. We want to say we are in favor of the closure of 6th Street for safety of residents and visitors. I don't know who this is from, but there's a comment that says, by the way, studies are out that UV sun rays do kill the virus. I believe that's probably directed at the concerns about the picnic tables. April Thomas says, put a banner announcing the pedestrian mall at the roundabout or visitor centers. So that's what I am seeing out on the chat feature. Anybody else out there that wanted to speak or wanted to make another comment after all of these comments have been made? Please let us know, right?
I mean, we do have people, excuse me, Lynette, raising their hand.
Okay. I can't
Let's
see.
go with people that haven't. Okay.
Yeah.
People that haven't talked yet, I'll put them on first. So
Okay.
if Amanda Cooper is
Okay.
ready,
great.
We will put her on.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Howard. My name is Amanda Cooper. I live at 924 Taos Street, and I am also a member of the Business Promotions Commission and a business owner. Obviously, this has been really divisive, but I'd like to just to keep it brief. In relation to the 4th of July, a lot of comments about how the weekend was down. And I think that we have to give credence to the fact that the weather was terrible. People want to be outside right now, period. And as an example, in my own business, we had 40 covers, so approximately 15 reservations for 4th of July night, and every single one of them canceled. Every single reservation from 2:45 in the afternoon until 6:30 p.m. Canceled. And no one canceled because of a walkway. They canceled because of the weather, because people want to be outside. Obviously, I've spoken on a couple of occasions in favor of the walkway for public health and safety. And I think that in restaurants in particular, we're really cognizant of what this means. To Mr. Booth's comment, we obviously have all had really in-depth health inspections. We're actually a training store for the health department, so which is fun. And we had health inspectors training for our first post-COVID inspection. So we get what this means. And I think that everything that we are doing as a community to keep all of us safe and keeping all of us open is really important. And we certainly don't want, the mission of business promotions wasn't to ruin 6th Street, but it was to try and find a compromise to keep our citizens safe. And we appreciate the time and effort you guys have put into this. And thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Amanda.
Okay, Lynette. How about, we have not heard from Jan or Max McCollum. I'll put them on.
Okay, thank you.
Are you there, Jan or Max?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I'll keep this very brief. Yanni made a lot of points that I was going to bring up, but it should not need to be said, but I feel like it does. That, again, the downturn in business is not due to the pedestrian mall, it's due to COVID. Nobody is having the business, the numbers that they had last year, or even right after Christmas market. The other thing about the signage has always been an issue in Georgetown. If we could have signage, not only to where to park, but also to direct people to the different businesses, like on the corner. And I'm sorry, I own 2 businesses on Rose Street. One is Georgetown Jerky and Emporium. So that is just, that would be south of 6th Street. And the other one is my paper crafting studio, which is just north of 6th Street. I was in the studio all day today and yesterday, and can see down at the corner. And there are lots of people, I mean, for this time being, milling around, walking around, enjoying the fact that they can walk out into the street. And it does make me feel much safer having that extra space and having the pedestrian mall. And most other mountain towns, tourist towns in Colorado do have a pedestrian mall. And I know that's been stated before also. It seems like if we did have it full-time, we could have better barriers and better signage, and it wouldn't be something that was a come and go temporary thing. And maybe there could be some kind of compromise worked out with moving the barriers if there was a delivery to be made on 6th Street that couldn't go behind a building. And right now there's scaffolding up, so nobody can really park safely there anyway, in some areas. So anyway, I just want to say I'm for full-time closure of 6th Street and definitely the mask ordinance. I will not open my store if we don't have the mask ordinance, and that's all there is to it. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Jan. Do you see someone else, Jennifer?
Yeah, Lynette, we've got Cora Lou wants to make a comment and also Paul Boat again.
Okay.
So I'll put Cora Lou on.
Thank you.
I think she was first.
Mhm.
Yep. Cora Lou, you can go ahead.
Okay, first of all, Paul, we have no back door and no back entrance. We have a back door to our business, and it gives us out to a small area where we haul boxes and have our old bakery. There is no back door to K&A. Everything is bringing in deliveries in the front door. The back door leads out to a pile of who knows what. And then from then on, it's all the parking for the brewery and for the rentals that are behind us. It's all gravel. Second of all, we always have a sign on the door for masks. And if people start to walk in without a mask, I ask them to put it on or to leave. Second of all, we're a National Historic Landmark District, and most of you people don't realize that. But National Historic Landmark District means that we are one of 3 in the whole state of Colorado. And that's because we have so many wonderful old buildings in town. And we need to really push that we are one of 3 in the whole state of Colorado to be a National Historic Landmark District. First of all, the amount of people that come into my store, and I have been there for the last 8 and 10 hours of every day in the last month. They come into the store, they see that they need to wear a mask, and they wear masks. Otherwise, they're asked to leave. They come in and go down one aisle. If we have more than 8 people or 6 people, I let maybe 2 groups in. One group may be of 1 person, the other might be of 4. There are only 2 groups walking in. We have no problem there. Our problem is, what do you do with people that are carrying out a load of groceries?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up on the end. What did you say?
Because it broke down. I mean, it fell. But I'm just saying, we have people that need to be coming right up to the edge so they can put their groceries in. Most people are selling t-shirts, you can carry it. The only other person that might have to carry something is from Gary's art studio, but he has that arranged some other place, and I don't see him selling that many. He sits out front with his umbrella. The other stores are all just selling things that people can carry in their hands or in their purses. And we also have the deliveries, and Paul Boat is up his rear by not saying that we can go in the back door. He is wrong. He has not been in the store for I don't know how long. How come these people can say this? I don't know. Right now, we have people who walk comfortably on the sidewalks. Most of the people who are making comments have never been downtown or are not there the whole day. I'd like to have somebody come down there for 1 hour and stand and see what happens. But I'm telling you, we're a National Historic Landmark District, and let's make it. That isn't what Idaho Springs is. They have restaurants on their street. We have no restaurants on our street except the Happy Cooker, and I'm pleased that they are there. I'm so glad that Lucius has been here, but he won't be back in the next 2 or 3 days. So we've got problems, I agree. But for heaven's sakes, you people who don't even participate on 6th Street, and I haven't seen half of you people on 6th Street who have made comments, to realize what we really have there. Sorry, I'm out of here.
Okay, thank you, Corlu. And now Paul.
Okay, and so we've got Paul Boat raising his hand, and then Jim Blugerman.
Okay, thank
So I'll
you.
put Paul on.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Paul. Paul, are you there? Okay. Maybe he stepped out for a sec. Let's go to Jim Blugerman then.
All right, thanks.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, I have been listening to all the concerns about spreading of the disease and social distancing and everything. But I go back to the point that we are not Myrtle Beach. We don't have thousands of people crushed together. We are not Breckenridge or Vale with thousands of people coming up. We are Georgetown. And in looking at the amount of people downtown, you can easily avoid contact with people. And most of the people that I see in town, both residents and visitors, take appropriate steps. Everybody's wearing a mask. So I do not believe that we need to shut down our streets in order for people to be safe. There's enough room. We're not New York City. We aren't shoulder to shoulder. There's plenty of room for everybody in town. And so I am not insensitive to the spread of the virus and the social distancing because I practice it all the time. But I do not believe closing 6th Street makes us safer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul.
I just realized I had control.
Okay, thank you.
Honestly, there we go. I'm sorry. I accidentally raised my hand. I had no intention of speaking again. I apologize. However, I am not going to respond to the question of whether or not someone has their back entrance cleaned or whether or not I have my head up my rear. I would just like to say that my name is Paul Boat, and I'm the Executive Director of the Georgetown Trust for Conservation and Preservation Incorporated, which interprets the Georgetown Silver Plume National Historic Landmark District. And I also am a member of the Historic Districts Public Lands Commission, which spends its time keeping the National Historic Landmark District lands available to the people. So I am very aware of who we are and where we are and what we're doing. I appreciate all your time. I appreciate your efforts and what you're doing and your consideration of everybody's voice. But honestly, it was a mistake for me to speak. So you have a great evening and thank you very much. And I appreciate giving us all a voice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Paul. Okay. So there's a comment here from Hotel de Paris Museum. Please enforce good manners. That must have been Paul again. And April Thomas says advertise for more food trucks to come work on the mall. And it looks like Dee Blugerman would like to make another comment.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Dee.
Hi, I just have a couple of comments. You know, there are a lot of people on both sides, but how about a compromise? instead of closing the town for 7 days a week, or as we have been doing for 4 days a week, just close it Saturday and Sunday when we have the most people here. You know, during the week right now with COVID, there are not that many people in there. I know I can't compromise health, Paul, but you know what? You know, I was walking downtown this morning, there was nobody down there. You know? And if you need to get over and move off the sidewalk, then move off the sidewalk. And if you're really, really afraid that you might come in contact with somebody, I guess you need to stay home. And I know that's hard for the people that work, but you know, I'm working too. And I'm wearing a mask and I'm practicing all the things I need to practice as best I can. But shutting down the entire town when we have so few people down there, and I don't know, it just seems like a waste of time and a waste of money to shut the entire town down. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. There's another comment from Hotel de Paris Museum. There is no way to predict a busy day. So I guess we April Thomas also adds town staff and resources to open and close 6th Street, put a burden on our minimum staff and hours. So, all right, if we've heard from everybody that wanted to make a comment, I'd like to actually close public comment and turn this back over to our Board of Selectmen so the board can discuss the pros and cons and options and come to some sort of decision. So I think that's what we will do at this time. Thank you all for making your comments and for participating this evening. It's very, very much appreciated. So, okay, board. I guess I would like to go first, just because I'm unmuted already. So my main concerns in being in favor of the closure was public health. Yes, it does allow more space for businesses if they wish to put merchandise out or to expand their seating if they're a restaurant, but it's certainly not the primary goal here. The primary goal is public safety. And if we have crowds, we need more space for them to be able to pass each other. Not everybody who's outside is wearing a mask. And that, I believe, is part of the concern passing on the sidewalks. If you are wearing a mask, but somebody else isn't, it's a little disconcerting to be, you know, less than 6 feet away from somebody. It's so that was my strongest feeling in why I supported this. If it works to not do it 7 days a week, please, let's not have it more than we need it. But as it's been pointed out, you can never tell what day is going to be busy, what day is not. I do definitely think that better signage and more attractive barriers, which we're working on. Kent and I have talked about this a lot. And I'm hoping that with better signage and more attractive barriers, it won't look so gates closed, don't even bother. And I would also point out that these, and it's been said by other commenters tonight, these are not ordinary times. We can't compare this year's business with last year's and come up with any reasonable reason why there's less business other than these aren't the same. the same circumstances. Nobody is operating the same as they used to. There are a lot of people out of work. They still want to come to the mountains because they're tired of being cooped up, but they don't necessarily have a lot of money to spend. So they may not be going into shops, but they're going to be visiting us. And we need to be careful about the safety, because we're not in a protective bubble. We will be exposed to people from all over the county. We'll be exposed to people from all over the Front Range, from other states. And if you look at maps of where the COVID cases are spiking, Colorado is in one of the lower categories of increase in cases, but we are surrounded by states who have higher increases in cases, and they're going to be coming to visit, and we have to be able to deal with that safely. Everybody's summer got off to a strange start. We didn't have, school going until thus and such a date, and then the summer traffic picks up. Memorial Day weekend was quiet. It's just not been a typical summer. Can't really count on it following any kind of pattern that we've seen in the past, other than we will have visitors, and we don't know where all they came from. We also have to look not just at Georgetown. Georgetown's important. I don't want any of our citizens to become ill because we were not able to provide social distancing for ourselves, for visitors. I also don't want to send anybody who came to visit here thinking this would be great, and I don't want to send them home with a new case of the virus because we weren't able to offer social distancing that was safe enough. We are part of the county, we're part of the state, and we're part of the country. We have to think bigger than just Georgetown. We're all in this together. We had, as Dr. Ryan mentioned, we have 2 cases currently in active cases, new positive cases in Clear Creek County. One was from last week, one was from yesterday. The variances that are in place, one of them is one that allows the train to operate under their current restrictions and conditions. It also allows the rafting. It allows the outdoor recreation. I believe it might even be the museums. It's hard to keep track of all the moving parts, but if on that particular variance that I'm thinking of, if Clear Creek County as a whole has 3 positive cases that occur in a 2-week period, then the variance gets revisited, could be withdrawn. It could mean businesses are required to pull back on some of their opening and put more restrictions in place. It could, if the state experiences a lot more cases, it could mean business closures back to safer at home measures, which nobody wants to see. So I just put that word of caution out there. And I think that's, I did want to mention that the board received a letter from Wendy Anderson also opposing the closure of 6th Street for similar reasons to what Corlew expressed here at the meeting. So I think that's all I have to say right at this time, and I would open it up to whoever would like to speak next. John, you're unmuted. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I also like to point out that the business promotions was behind this, and they represent our business community. And that should bear some weight. I think that keeping it closed all the time allows businesses to plan better, for what they want to do and economically be able to, make commitments to do things with that open street. I'm concerned that if we don't do this, the health part of this, and that, we get more sickness, that it's going to be a lot worse than if we just go ahead and go with this. And, if we have to adjust a little bit here or there, that's fine. But, it's important, I think, to go ahead and plan for the social distancing. That's it for now.
Okay, thank you, John. Anyone else? Mary, please.
So I have a few comments to make. I want everyone to understand or to know right up front that I am for closing 6th Street to vehicle traffic and keeping it open for a pedestrian mall 7 days a week. So I'll start with that. A few comments I'd like to make, not necessarily in any priority or order. One of my concerns in the past, I've said, is that I think by closing it down and reopening it, we're wasting our town's resources. I know some of the other people that have attended today have expressed that same thought, and that it is confusing for people who may return. Maybe they're on their way up one day to wherever in the mountains, and then they come back, and whether we're open or closed or parking or vehicles or whatever. So I think we're wasting precious money, especially right now. I'd like to again state my opinion, my response, that we need to support the Business Promotions Commission and their efforts to keep businesses open. And I'm not just saying that as keeping the businesses open to utilize how they can on 6th Street, but to keep the businesses open because of health reasons, and so that we're not, closing down the county again. The 4th of July, according to CDOT, is traditionally when summer begins. And obviously our 4th of July was certainly a rainy one for us here in the mountains. But when, the different businesses, and no, I'm not a business owner, but when they're talking about how this past weekend was, poor activity down on 6th Street, I think we have to, and prior to that, I think we have to realize that summer is just getting underway with a lot of people who do traditionally visit the mountains at this time of year. I guess first and foremost, we have to push for social distancing and to give as much space as whomever feels is that comfort zone. That used to be a joke to stay out of my bubble, and the bubble has definitely gotten larger. I'd like to address some of the business owners who are disappointed that the board has not communicated with them directly. However, that's also part of social distancing. And we've relied a lot on emails and Zoom and these meetings to hear that public response. And I'm glad that it's coming up now. But to personally visit every shop and business owner, I think again is just showing or putting us all at a risk that we're trying not to do. We did ask our town administrator to make sure that there was contact made with all the business owners to find out what their feelings were on this back a month or so ago when we first weighed in on this. I have a question that someone perhaps can jump in and respond to. I know there was a survey or a petition out, and we got the names of all the people who participated in that petition. I skimmed it fast, I apologize, but I did not see the results of that petition. So was that in favor of keeping it pedestrian, or was that, because there were a couple, it looked like there was well over 100 people who responded to that petition. I think we've moved too slow on this, and I think we've trying to see what the state does, and I believe in that, but boy, once all of a sudden the state opens things up, we need to move faster to market our town and get things going and make it, you know, as feasible as possible for everyone that lives here and works here and visits here. I agree on the better signage. I've said that before, and I agree with some of the other comments where we cannot predict what day of the week, weekend, weekday, is going to be the biggest day. I've been surprised in past years when I've gone downtown and seen so many people on weekdays compared to weekends. So I don't think just a weekend can do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
I promise to be short.
You're next up, Rob.
So I'm in favor of shutting down 6th Street because for health reasons. I'm really sorry to the businesses that we're going to harm, but you know, I'm only asking. I know nobody's run a business in this in a pandemic before, so I mean, from that standpoint, nobody's really got any experience on this. You know, all we can do is the best that we can do. But as a town, I think that we ought to invite more food trucks, and I think we ought to have live bands. If I was talking, actually, I was downtown last Saturday, and I was talking to Tim Hammond, who was running the music, and I believe there are going to be some live bands there. He told me a lineup.
Great.
But you know, I guess I just think that if businesses could pivot their business a little bit, they could take advantage of this. I'm not a business owner, so I have no authority to speak on that. So I can't really, you know, speak with any presence there. But if we have to default to the most safe thing to do, it's what you were just saying, Lynette. It's wearing a mask, social distancing, and actually they're even saying that social distancing from 6 feet may not be enough. There's studies out now that are saying that it could go 12 feet just because of the way it can aerosol and aspirate in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, from that standpoint, really, you know, it supports closing down 6th Street even more. I'm really sorry for those, you know, but those stores and those shops that are against this, I really, really hope that you're ventilating your store and making sure that your shoppers are safe, not just by wearing a mask, but taking the measures to make sure that there's ventilation. I just hope that that's the case. I know those stores are tight. And I, as a consumer, I have, and just last Saturday, went up to the door, saw there was too many people in the store, and I backed away. And if I'm standing on the sidewalk and I'm too close there, I'm going to get the heck out of there. But if I've got some space in the street, well, yeah, I might linger and then wait for my turn to go in. But you know, I'm just supposing. But I just think that you know, nobody's run a business in a pandemic. I don't think anybody's got the corner market on how to do this. So from the standpoint of from that standpoint, I just think you got to be creative. And if you've done the same thing year after year after year, and you're getting declining results, try something new, like running a business in a pandemic, for instance. You know, it'll take some creativity. And I think as a town, we're going to have to be creative as well by just getting more attractive barriers, having live bands. That's kind of good. But also just trying to see if we can get some food trucks in here. And I can actually tell you, and I know this is more the exception rather than the rule, but I had a food truck that actually, they still have a food truck, but they went to brick and mortar. So this could be a real estate opportunity. If you get a food truck in that's like a Korean barbecue, for instance, there's no Korean barbecue competition in Georgetown, for heaven's sake. So, I mean, you know, I think we're safe. But from that standpoint, you could end up being in a commercial real estate opportunity by luring somebody in who might want to make that jump to brick and mortar. All right, I've said enough.
Thank you, Rob. Let me read just a couple of the comments that are popping up here. Lori and Mike Booth have said, I've asked for reach out 30 days ago via email, very social distance, no reply or response. I just emailed Keith again, no response. So then from Paul, boat promotions and the Friends of the Georgetown Library team up to bring out mountain jams. We can start advertising a socially safe town. Comment from D. Blugerman, singing is one of the worst things you can do with COVID. And then from April Thomas, Paul, I think that's a great idea. We need to get creative. Rob, right on, street dances. So back to our board. Who would like to speak next?
I can.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm agreeing with a lot of things everybody else is saying. Just ironically, I had to go to my bank in Dillon today, and the number of out-of-state cars on I-70 is frankly kind of frightening. I know we want to open our businesses, and our businesses are open to typically tourists, but we do have to address safety. These people are coming from all over the country, and the number of licenses from Texas and Florida, which are hotspots right now, that's scary. Now, I did visit the Frisco mall, and they did have music playing, and this was just yesterday, and middle of the day, but very nicely set up. The barriers had more flowers, not so much barrier looking. Idaho Springs does a real nice job, but then again, it looks better because they have more restaurants there. And so when you have all this outdoor seating with these restaurants, it really adds to the atmosphere of a pedestrian mall. So yes, we do have challenges because we don't have those kind of restaurants. And so it does look different. It does look different. But it's, you know, it's a safety thing. It's to keep ourselves and our visitors safe. I think the businesses that are being hurt, it's just too soon to tell. I did go talk to Lucha's on Sunday, I think it was, and asked them how was the weekend. They said it was pretty good, except that they got rained out both days. And so their opinion, it would have been a lot better, but we had lousy weather. And you're right, people want to be outside. They've been inside too much. And so when you don't, when the weather's not in your favor, like they canceled all the reservations at Cooper. I mean, we are getting a late start on this, but yes, summer is just now starting. It is different trying to be safe and trying to run a business during a pandemic. And I'm glad Clear Creek County did the mask ordinance. I wish Colorado would, but those are some of my observations and comments.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Tim or Keith, any comments?
Well, so much has been said tonight about this. I don't know if I really have a lot to add. I could see the safety aspect of it. I was in favor at the meeting about the trial period, and I don't know that that's really been given much of a chance due to weather and other things, that lack of people coming into town. I don't know. But one thing I kept hearing tonight was more food trucks. And I think if we're going to look at that, I think the first thing we need to do is dig into the code book and see about what we can do to change that. I don't think we can just, or I don't think it's good for us to do just to start allowing food trucks all over the place when it's against our own code book. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Keith, any comments?
Yeah,
As you know, having just kind of finished with chemotherapy, I have not been out much. I have not been downtown because I don't go anywhere. But that being said, I'm kind of terrified to go out. I'm kind of terrified to possibly engage with anybody from Texas or California or any of the other places where this stuff has been. But that being said, I've talked to a number of people, business owners downtown, that I guess the big concern they have is people that had been up to ride the train think we're closed for business, and they either go, up Guanella Pass or back out towards the visitor center, and they bypass downtown. Maybe we could look at not closing all of 6th Street, but maybe between Taos and Rose, and having that an open area where people would have the ability to sit on benches, make it look a little more attractive, have a food truck parked in there. And maybe that would not be quite so disruptive of on-street parking for some of the businesses. I do understand that, people with whatever special needs, disabilities, are more likely to visit a shop if they can park like in front of it. However, I guess I was not sitting on the fence with this initially due to the public health needs, but after hearing a lot of complaints from business owners, I don't want them to wither up and die either. So maybe let's throw some thought into looking at how we can accommodate everybody's needs the best we can. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Keith. I did have some additional thoughts on some of the parking issues. So we've got ADA access ramps on our sidewalks, and I don't know if it would be feasible or helpful if the space that was immediately adjacent to those ramps was designated as ADA parking, or maybe 20-minute pickup parking only, just to give it better turnover. I don't think it would be difficult to do signage there for that, but that would be about at least 6 spaces that would then be close to whatever block they needed to be in, and hopefully alleviate some of the access issues, and just tossing that out there as an idea. So we have not heard from Randy Williams, Marshall Williams. Did you have any comments on this?
Okay, now that I'm unmuted, let me see if I can give it a try.
We hear you.
Okay. I think the problem you just suggested for the handicap parking is the only parking we could come up with would be on Rose, which would be simple. I think it would be easier if we were just to look for some temporary ramps that they could go into the street and be able to get up onto the sidewalks. And that's what they've done in other cities where I've seen these pedestrian walkways. Seen a lot of it, actually. I've seen the pedestrian walkways used in about 6 different places now. Most of them are using barricades. Our barricades do look unsightly. I like the rails. I think more flowers and rails on Argentine Street on that end will make it more inviting still, rather than the big barricade. So I think there's things we can do to help. And it's just unfortunate. But we still have a lot of little glitches with this plan that we have to dial in. Traffic on Rose Street coming off of Guanella Pass is a problem. We have to address that. We already were the last couple of weekends. And maybe but it's not going to be the addressing that's going to get the word out or actually slow people down, because they're always different people. And unless there's a specific question, I don't think I can add. I've seen what it takes to open it and close it, and it's a lot of work for the Road and Bridge and Kevin to move all of that back and forth, and it'll wear out everything also. So, and like I made one little comment, it would be less confusing over time. For myself, going around downtown a lot, I'm finding I expect it to be closed. So I'm just adapting to it, where if one day it is, and then another couple of days it's not, and then it's closed again, it makes it more confusing. And that's about it.
All right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Kent, since the issue of financial burden and resource use has been raised, can you give us an idea of maybe at least the time it takes to set things up or break things down? If we do it part-time, what does that mean for our crews?
It's about an hour, a little more than an hour each time, depending on if it's just Kevin or if it's somebody else. So
okay. All right. Any more comments from board?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, excuse me. I think Kent was talking, but he was muted. I don't know if he wants to finish.
my video froze. Sorry about that.
There you are.
Okay.
My video froze. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Hour and a half is about the time each time it takes to move it back into place and take it out when it needs to.
And on a weekly basis, that would be, 3 hours, and they're already busy with other tasks. So it's a valid concern that resources might be better spent in other areas. So, okay, as I see it, we've got 3 choices. We could continue with the weekend only. Well, maybe 4 choices. So our current order says we are closed from Friday through Monday. So they would set up Friday morning to close it, and they would take it down Tuesday morning when things open back up. That would give the merchants on 6th Street Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, when they had free access to the front doors of all of their businesses. Given that that's got some staff time involved in the setup and takedown, that might be one of the deciding factors. The other might be to modify that. And it's been suggested that maybe a compromise of just doing that on Saturdays and Sundays only would give people more freedom for deliveries and it wouldn't be as, it wouldn't look as closed during the week. So that I would see was option 2. Option 3 would be go back to doing it 7 days a week. That reduces the staff time. Definitely we need to, if we do that, we would need to improve the appearance of the barriers, make it more attractive, less, closed for business, more open for pedestrian business. And better signage, better direction of where parking is available, and what businesses are available on that pedestrian mall area. The 4th would be to scrap the idea completely. That puts a lot of, I think it increases the risk that our community is already experiencing for health exposure. I think it makes it much higher than I would like to see, but that is obviously a choice. So if I put it to the board to who would like to make a motion for any one of those possible choices or suggest a different choice that I haven't thought of.
I'll make a motion to amend our current policy and expand the 6th Street pedestrian mall to 7 days a week and increase our signage to assist and support the businesses that are open and increase some parking signs. Use of
I'll
signs.
second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to modify our existing order to go back to full-time closure, but with better signage and especially for the businesses, parking, and for the businesses that are can be accessed off of that pedestrian area. Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is Tim.
Yes.
I would like to see, if that's going to be the motion we're going to undertake, I'd like to see an end date along with that motion.
So I'll add the end of summer, August 31st, 30 days have September, April, okay. And we can reopen it, the conversation to see if we don't expand through the leaf season.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Like looking at it Labor Day.
So
it's kind of the unofficial end of summer, you know what I mean?
So let's say through Labor Day, I'll amend my motion through Labor Day, the Monday of Labor Day weekend. And then, okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. The original motion has been amended by the motion maker to give the end date of Labor Day weekend, Labor Day itself to be the closure, and the second has agreed to that. So any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, the motion passes 5-1. Thank you all very, very much. That was worth the length of discussion. Okay. Next on our agenda is consideration of implementation of face covering order, direction to town administrator concerning same. As you remember, Jerry Dahl stated that we have 3 choices. We can do, where's my note? we can keep what we have. We can modify what we have to follow the county ordinance that was just passed last week, or we can eliminate our order and through messaging demonstrate that the county order is in effect here in Georgetown, even without a order of our own. So I don't know if anybody has strong feelings on that, but I will open it up for discussion of the board.
Can I pose the question to any of our business audience that, or audience members who are business owners? They were throwing in some comments before about the difference between the mask order that we've implemented prior to the county implementing theirs. So that, but then again, we've tried to be consistent with the county. Do we have any feedback from them though as to what might be easier for them also?
All right, I just gotten a text that said, run it through Christmas market. And then I won't read the rest, but it was a reference to why we're behind. I kind of agree. I'd like to run it at the end of, Labor Day, and then we might continue it after that. It's just that we want to kind of take a pause and revisit it and see how successful it's been, right?
Okay, Rob, we moved on to the mask order.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm in favor of that too.
So anybody have any comments on whether we modify and how we would modify the mask order?
I'm for just dropping ours and following the county.
Paul Hengen, yes?
Yeah, I'm for just dropping ours and following the county.
Yeah.
Being consistent has its merits.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim?
Lynette, I'd like to make the motion to repeal ours and adopt the county's.
I'll second.
Okay. Just, my thought, I guess do we have a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to repeal the Georgetown mask order and to follow the county's ordinance that is now in place. I'm gonna ask for further discussion, but I would like to point out that I believe that it sends a stronger message if we have our own order in place that follows the county order. From my perspective, it takes personal responsibility on our town board that we took the action before the county did. I think it's important to add to the message instead of just deferring to the counties. I go along with whatever the board decides, obviously, but I think I would prefer to go with the second option that Jerry suggested, which was to modify ours to follow the same exceptions that the county ordinance follows, and also continue to reference the state public health order as that changes and evolves as well. I think it sends a stronger message, and it's important to me, but I will go along with the board. Any other discussion? Yes, Mary.
I would agree with your points. I also think it gives the town of Georgetown the ability to take some action if necessary quickly, and maybe Randy can weigh in on that, but I would rather see the consistency of it, but to keep our own. I think it was important that we created it, but I could see modifying it so that it's consistent, so there's no confusion.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Rob.
It's mirroring the county's suggestion is really what option 2 is, and it really comes down to the age that you require children to wear a mask, which there's data to support that children are not as exposed to it, but that's what the county's for. That's why we have a public health director. You know, this guy has been able to do the research, and he gets spoon fed all the data that is circulating around this. So for us to take different direction than what is the county suggests would be ignorant, I think. You know, we ought to, but to be consistent, I think we ought to mirror what the county is saying.
That's a good point.
Okay. Yes, John.
I like 2. I kind of think it kind of solves both those issues. So I would be fine with just doing 2 and then mirroring whatever the differences is with the county.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I made a motion and it was seconded, so.
I realize that. I'm just asking for further discussion. Anybody else? So based on our discussion, Tim, did you want to change your motion or leave it stand the way you made it?
No, I want to leave it stand the way I made it.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to repeal our standing order requiring mask wearing and follow what the county's ordinance requires. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Well, may I interrupt? I'm sorry to interrupt this, but repealing the mask order, aren't we repealing our mask order and just saying we're asking people to wear a face mask
because of the county?
As a result of the county, right?
Yes.
But we're not telling people they don't have to wear a mask anymore, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's got to be clear.
Right.
I just want to make sure that that's the case.
We're telling them they are mandated by the county, and we, being part of the county, will adhere to that.
Okay, got it. Okay. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I was clear on what I'm voting on.
Okay, so let me do a count. So I heard 1 aye vote for this motion, and
yes, aye.
So there's a second aye.
I'm for it.
Okay, a third.
Yep.
Okay, there's 4. And then there were 2 opposed. Okay, so motion passes 4-2. All right. Any further discussion, any other topics that any concerns anybody has before we adjourn? I would then entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all so very much. And thanks to all the public that joined us tonight. It's very much appreciated. Couldn't do this without you.
Bye.